Desertions by whale ship crew members were a frequent occurrence. Wilson, on the Gypsy in 1841 at Ponape, notes in his journal,
I understand there are upwards of 80 white men on the island, English, Portuguese, American, etc. The advice of those in the harbour was that we had better keep out, as little or nothing was to be had, excepting wood and water and plenty of bad yams, and sailors were too apt to desert their ships influenced by the temporary fascinations of the women. The Whale Ship Gypsy, Pompey, 1841.
One of the ships in harbor at that time did not even have enough hands left to get underway, so many of the crew had left the ship. In 1843, 7 men deserted from the whale ship Fortune, leaving only 4 men before the mast. In 1851, another whale ship, the William and Mary, left 7 men ashore, 4 of them Portuguese. As whaling traffic peaked in the early 1850s, the size of the foreign community on Ponape grew to about 150. The same might have happened in Koshrai if the paramount chief had not been so assiduous in ridding the island of deserters periodically. Hard-pressed to replace the deserters, many whaling captains would offer berths to islanders, signing them on under names like John Bull, Joe Kanaka, and Jim Crow. In 1865, one ship alone, the Charles W. Morgan, carried off a total of 4 Ponapeans, 2 as crew members and 2 as stowaways. There were many island men who welcomed the adventure of a tour of duty on a whale ship, if only to see more of the world that was being introduced to them. Even for those who never signed on as a hand, the world had grown so much larger. Kanka, the son of the paramount chief on Koshrai, impressed one seaman greatly for his sophistication.
Here was the most remarkable native I have ever met. He could repeat from the life of Washington, Bonaparte, Wellington, passage after passage. And about the battles they fought he could tell in detail. He shamed me one day by asking how many presidents, and what were their names, the United States has had since it became free from England, and then repeating the number of names. Charles W. Morgan, Kushai, October 1852.
The impact of whaling touched even some of the nearby coral atolls like Mokil. It had become a tidy little community, impressive for its cleanliness and order. At one end of the island was a flagstaff on which a white ensign was hoisted whenever a ship was sighted. There was a chapel and a bowling alley used by both Mokelese and seamen. All the men wore trousers. A Swedish naval vessel that visited the island in 1852 reports,
The 2 Americans had arrived on a vessel a half-year before and sold their belongings, pigs, chickens, and fruit to passing ships. They often made $40 a month in this trade. The wives of the 2 Americans, one had 5 and the other only 4, were extremely friendly creatures, dressed in cotton blouses, smoking their small clay pipes. Swedish naval frigate Eugenia at Mokil, 1852.
If whaling never had the same impact on the Marshalls or in western Micronesia, this was because these islands did not offer the supply of water needed. Yap and Palau were too far off the main whaling grounds to be convenient stopovers.
Shenandoah, I long to hear you. Away, you rolling river.
The whaling industry was all but dead by the mid-1860s, but its effect on the islands it touched was enormous. There was a disease and depopulation, especially on Koshrai, where the numbers continued to fall until the 1880s.
The white man loved the Indian maiden.
But there was also the trade with ships, which brought Pohnpei an estimated $8,000 a year, and Koshrai perhaps $5,000 by the height of whaling traffic. As one measure of that trade, Pohnpeians owned 1,500 muskets by 1850. Among the many whalers who remained in Pohnpei are James Hadley, John Eldridge, and Joseph Keogh, all of whom founded large, influential families. But there was something else islanders had acquired during those years: a growing sophistication and an expanded understanding of the great world that lay beyond their reef.